Okay, people are coming on. I'll be right back. Good morning. You all are getting me from home. I just woke up with a little bit of a scratchy throat, so we're going to do this on Zoom. I hope you guys are all doing well. And if you can put your camera on, I would love to see people. You know how I am. I would love to see people. I see Angel. That's awesome. Ryan's coming on. Good morning. I've got my coffee. Now I'm going to be okay. Matt's coming on. All right, all right. This is awesome. Good deal. If you can come on camera, then come on camera. And I know that you have people in the training room. So for those of you in the training room, if you want to be able to participate and talk, then you will need to log on to Zoom. Zoom is pccoaching.kwkey.com. Okay, that's okay. Uh, who knows? Okay, that's fine. Brian, I sometimes technology is wonderful and sometimes it's not. So thank you. Appreciate that. Put a link in there. And so that way you can participate and talk because I like the participation. And so on Tuesday, we got started on a very important topic, and that is prospecting in our Lead Gen 3612-3. Okay. And with that, what's so important is, yeah, it's kind of a big deal. Our prospecting is kind of a big deal. Okay, Debbie, you have to come off early. No worries. Thanks for giving me the heads up. And but I want to stop before I dive into today's material. I want to stop and I want to talk about our homework. I had 2 pieces of homework besides making sure that you read all the materials. Because as you can notice, we can't go and touch on everything. Thanks, Ryan, for dropping the Zoom link in there. We can't. There's just so much. This is so rich in information and great stuff that you're going to have to read the materials. So if you haven't been reading the materials yet, I'm going to highly encourage you to make sure you take the time and do that. I'm going to do a shout out to Jocelyn. I see her with her note. She's created her own notebook. She's been reading the materials and all of that. And I know several, if not many of you, have been reading the materials about our homework. We had 2 pieces of homework. The first is you were to do from, let's see what page that was. It was the time and cost chart. It was on page 20 of your materials. And it was where, remember how we talked about in prospecting and marketing, which one costs less money? Let's not be shy now. Which costs less money, prospecting or marketing?
Prospecting.
Thank you, Olgie. Yes, prospecting. Which takes more time, most likely?
Prospecting.
Yeah, but it costs less money. And what do you have more of when you're new, usually?
Time.
Time. You have more time in the beginning. You don't have a lot of money, right? Did anybody, I know I've asked this before, but I'm asking again, does anybody have a marketing budget for their new business yet? I don't see anybody's heads moving or anything. Did anybody come into this business with a marketing budget already?
No.
No. Okay. You did not. Most don't. So that kind of narrows down what you're going to focus on, and what you're going to focus on is prospecting. You're going to do some marketing. You know, you're very fortunate that so much of your marketing can be very cost effective because of social media. So you're very fortunate. As a new agent, I didn't have that either. You had to do mailings. You had to do mailings, which are expensive, not as expensive as they are now with the postage. Or you had to do advertising, and newspaper advertising, expensive. Sometimes you could do some local papers and that type of thing, but still really expensive. So all of the marketing basically that we could do was expensive. You all have more options that you can start using here when you're new. So I want to know, on your homework, how much time prospecting are you going to do daily? Just give me shout outs. How much time did you write down on the prospecting versus marketing exercise on page 20? How much time did you say that you were going to write 2 hours?
Thomas said 20 hours a week.
Thomas said 20 hours a week. Brian put in 2 hours daily. Who else? How many hours? Here's what worries me. If I don't hear that you've thought about this yet, is then I know you're not doing it consistently, most likely, and you don't have a plan. 2 hours. I see Debbie putting in.
Sorry, sometimes I can't figure out technology, but I'm trying to unmute, but at least 2 hours.
At least 2 hours. Great.
At least, yeah.
Yeah. What have we been talking about? 2 hours. 2 hours. Okay. So what have we been talking about in lead gen 36, 12, 3? What's that 3 for in the title of this class?
3 hours a day.
3 hours of lead gen a day minimum. Okay. And if you need to build that muscle, that's okay. I'm going to tell you, here's what Gary Keller would tell you all, being new. 3 is not enough because you don't have business, or not enough business yet. So putting a 2-hour cap on your lead gen, well, that's good. I want you doing something instead of nothing all day long. However, you probably need to do more. And that's probably not the answer that you want me sharing with you. But here's the thing. All the other stuff, it's not going to mean anything unless you're really putting in the time. And so that's why you need a time block calendar. That's why that's going to be so important. We're going to talk about that a little bit later here today. So I'm going to encourage you all to do a minimum of 3 hours, a minimum, and probably more. If you really want to get this business off the ground, you've heard me say this business is built on momentum. The faster you go, the faster it grows. So you've got to get the momentum going, because it's a really amazing feeling. Once you get the momentum going, and it's like, it's going. Well, here's what happens. Then business starts, you feel like it just like takes off, like all the stars align above you. So that's where I want you. That's why this has to be your major focus in your career, is your lead gen, your prospecting. So let's, then how much money did you all put down that you're going to spend, let's say monthly on marketing? How much?
I said $4.17 a day.
Okay,
That's the price of a cup of coffee, which then equivalates to $20.83 a month, which
okay,
is then $83.33 a year. Or sorry, $4.17 daily, $20.83 weekly, $83.33 monthly, and then yearly that'd be $1,000.
okay. That's great, Ryan. That's a great start.
And I don't know why I was looking at prospecting outside of the 3 hours of lead gen already, to where prospecting, of course, is a lead gen, area, but I was thinking outside of the 3,
Gotcha.
hours I'm already putting in. Then
Gotcha.
like 2
Okay.
more hours on top of it, like, licking the envelopes to put mailers into, like that's 2 hours. So.
Okay. Yeah. So let's clear. I'm glad you said that, Ryan, because prospecting and lead gen is the same thing. It's the same thing. So I'm glad you said that, because it didn't make that clear. So I could see how it sounded like maybe something in addition. So I'm glad you said that. Who else? How much money did you say you're going to be spending on marketing a month? I like that he equated, it's just a cup of coffee, price of a cup of coffee a day. Who else?
Kind of going off of what Ryan was saying, I am trying to set up at least 2 in-person appointments a week, and preferably coffee instead of dinner or something like that, because it's a little
Sure.
cheaper. So again, like rounding up $5 for a cup of coffee, 2 times a week, $10. So looking around $40-50 with, some change to get a pastry or something. And then I might even round up 60 to 70 in case there is like a dinner or something that pops up.
Love it. Okay. So prospecting and marketing is spending that money, and Olga is going to do it for prospecting that's in person with someone. So she's going to spend that money that way. I love that. And it's very purposeful. Who else has a budget that they have committed to for their marketing? How much a month?
Well, for me, I put this kind of lounge, huh? Well, it says how much time I'm gonna put as much time as I can. Even after I get established, I want to continue to put time in prospecting. And far as the money, I want to spend as little as possible, but be creative about how I spend. Just you might find different things to different pot buys where you can spend less
Go to
money.
the dollar store.
Say it again.
Go to the dollar store. It's
Yes,
easy to,
that's where I'll be going.
yeah. Well, I love that. Here, another thing is, here's what I've seen too. One of the reasons I want you thinking about how much you're going to commit to spending is sometimes I've had some new agents who had, especially a dual career agent, because they have income coming in, spend way too much on things that weren't marketing, things that were promised to be awesome and do the trick and get them clients. And instead it was just a lot of money spent on marketing. So I want you all to be careful in the beginning. I want you to think that I have extra money. I should still keep a pretty tight budget, because really what I need to be spending on is spending time connecting with people. Make sense? So keep that in mind. And because you all get hustled a lot by a lot of different marketing companies and lead companies and all of that, I know it. You get the hustle. And if some of it sounds too good to be true and you are so tempted to spend money, come talk to one of the coaches. It doesn't mean that that is not worth it at all. What we want to help you with is this the time in your business to be making that kind of investment? Or would it be better later on to spend that money, instead spend time? Now, for those of you who are dual career, you don't have an excess of time. So you might want to spend some money on some mailers to your database or to a farm or what have you, because that's the balance you need to make. So it's going to be different for each of you, but I want you making those commitments so you know. Remember, you're a business owner. You can't, even though it feels like you could wing it in this business, that is not a success plan. Okay, it is not a success plan. It's a, I hope I get lucky plan, or I'm going to waste my time and effort and money because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have goals. I don't know how much time I'm going to spend on my business. I don't know how much money I'm going to spend on my business. Aren't you thinking that way right now, even before you really feel like you have a business? Because you're busy building it, right? So let's get into, and then the other piece of homework that we had were, what are the benefits of marketing? Or yeah, what are the benefits of prospecting? What are the benefits of prospecting? And remember, it was in the material from Tuesday. Tell me, what are some of the pluses and value of prospecting?
You also said them before we left on Tuesday. Like you listed like all 5. It was perfect. But I wrote down, I tried to paraphrase. I wrote down minimal cost to receive immediate results. Always be thinking about your pipeline. Increasing confidence by using repetition.
Mm-hmm.
Quality leads lead to quantity. Stay in the market, or quantity leads lead to quality, sorry. And then stay in the market to know the market. And I put that as 3, 2, 1, 4, 5. As in, I would look at, the third one as my first, as in increasing confidence by using the skill of repetition. Because once you repeat it, the first 20 times is going to feel uncomfortable. The first 100 times maybe,
Yeah.
but repeating it over and over and over, you get more comfortable.
Definitely. I love that. Thank you, Ryan. One of the reasons you will find that the teachings in Keller Williams are designed to be repetitive in nature, meaning we want you to take these courses more than once. I've taken Bold 13 times. You're going to be like, what's wrong with you, Kristen? You've taken it 13 times. Are you a slow learner? Well, yeah, I kind of am, but it is because each time I've taken it, I've gotten a different perspective. I have heard information differently, even though I've heard basically, yes, have they mixed up and changed Bold over the years? Yes, they have. However, it still has the same base to it. And so but I get something different every single time. And for me, it's a recharging of the batteries. It's getting me in an environment of high energy that pumps me up and gets me like, yeah, I can do that. And sometimes that's hard to do all by yourself. Sometimes, at least I need a little bit of a dose of that high energy to get me going and refocus. Because what I like about Bold is it's in October. And then by October, if you've been working this all year, you may be a little tired. You may be like, whoa. And so for me, it's a great time to just renew and refresh and soak up all that energy and knowledge and build my skills. It's something that I hope all of you do. Some of you will, some of you might not. But I hope, as long as you're in this business, that you are constantly building and expanding your skills and knowledge. because the market you step in today is the one you're going to probably build your skills around here in the beginning. But it will not be the same market maybe next year or maybe in 6 months. So you've got to always be coming back to refresh, renew, and grow those skills and knowledge. It should be a continual journey for you. And that's why our company has that philosophy and that focus on training the way it does, is for that reason. Anything else on prospecting and the benefits that stuck out to any of you? Ryan really hit them all, but was there one that really stuck out to you that you wrote down for your homework? Two things stuck out to me. The building of confidence. The more you do something, the first time I did an open house, I was not good. The heat wasn't even on, and it was freezing. And my feet were numb, and I had to stand by the oven. However, I just jumped in and I did it, and I got better every single time I did an open house. I would critique what went well, what didn't. I would change tactics. I would change scripts until I found ones that really worked for me and helped me connect with people. So let's see, someone else put in here, Autumn. I wrote in my notes that it doesn't cost anything but time and effort, and can be as easy as getting out to meet people while doing something that you like. I love that, Autumn. I really want to impress on you while we're going through this lead gen journey together in this class. I really want to impress on you that lead gen doesn't have to be painful. You might not like every single element of it, but you should focus on lead generation activities that you're going to enjoy doing. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be fun and perfect all the time, because what job is? Every job, every career, every job has something that you don't absolutely love in it, right? At least from my experience. And so I want to make sure that you all understand that you don't have to do the painful stuff, but you've got to do the stuff. You got to do the stuff. So finding the things that work for you and work for you best. That's why we roll out all different kinds of lead gen in this course to you. But some people do try all of it. They try for sale by owners. They try farming. But we're going to talk about those and how some of them, yeah, you can try, but hardly any of them will work and get you results with just little effort. So trying them may be costly of time or money. So we'll talk about that, and we'll keep talking about that so you get a better idea. So we're going to go to, in your materials, it's page 31. And let me, well, unless anybody else has anything else about the benefits.
I have a quick side note, if that's okay.
You bet.
Thank you. I was just going to say that I've been also trying to have the outlook of, to make it more fun. I know it can be uncomfortable calling people or prospecting and all the things, but trying to find something, as Autumn said, a hobby, something you like to do, and a hobby that you can relate with people, and then it'll come up organically. And I try to look at everyone as everyone needs a home. So it's not like I'm trying to sell you my cleaner for my carpet, it's like something that benefits you, and everyone has a need for it. So if you look at everyone as a potential prospect, I don't know. I just thought I would share that. It helps me a little bit.
Definitely. I think I've said this before. I don't really consider us salespeople. We do some of the same activities as a salesperson does, but at the end of the day, we are selling our services and not a product. And that does make a difference. And our product is houses. However, we can't force someone to buy or sell a house. No matter how persuasive you are, if someone can't get pre-approved, they can't get pre-approved. If somebody doesn't want to move, you can't go over and pack their boxes and say, hey, you're moving. So we are relationship builders. We are providers of services. So to me, it's a little bit different. And that's where for some of you who have maybe gotten into this and thought, ooh, I love the idea of this business, but I don't like the salesy part of it. Well, you don't have to come across salesy. You don't have to be that. There are some agents that are more salesy like than others, but here's what's great about this business. You don't have to be. And that's finding the things that you will do, even if it's not something that brings you pure happiness and lead gen. Because I'm not going to promise you that you can find that, but you can find things that you will enjoy and that you will do. It's more, to me, more important for you to find the things you will do and commit to doing that than making yourself do something that is like laying on a bed of nails, right? And let's be honest, for some of you, it's going to feel that way here in the beginning, no matter what the activity is. So it's figuring out, how do I get past these limiting beliefs? How do I get past these pain points in this new business that I've stepped into? So we're going to be on page 31, like I said, and we're going to talk about the 3 steps to prospecting. And prospecting involves starting a conversation. Remember, prospecting is the same as lead generation. Prospecting is where you're proactively going out to people to get business and to connect. So think of it, it's all about conversations. Now, can those conversations be only in person? No. Those are the most powerful. They are the most impactful, without a doubt. When we connect belly to belly with someone, it's hard to blow them off. Can't ghost them if they're right in front of you. Then a phone call, voice to voice, is the next most powerful in connecting with people. But so is text messaging. Emails can be good. DMs can be good. I don't want to limit how you talk to people, because in this day and age, there are a lot of people that are not going to answer the phone. They don't even use this as a phone, right? They don't talk on it. My daughter barely talks on her phone, but she's communicating all the time on her phone. And some of you are that same, and some of you use it as a phone and as another means of communication. So that's okay. But we have to first approach people, to connect with people, to ask people for business. And we do have to close them, but you can do it in a way that has led to that. Are they ready to take the next step with you? So connecting, approaching and connecting is one that you're like, oh, I got to go talk to people. Oh, I gotta. So how do you connect with people now? Most likely, that's how you're going to connect with people for this business. And think of your audience. Who are the people you're going to be targeting? In the beginning, it should be the people in here. They need to hear about your brand new business and how excited you are, and how kind of scary it is. And you did something crazy. You got your real estate license. Oh my gosh. And ask for people's advice that can they help you? I always liked, instead of asking people for referrals or saying, who do you know that is thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate, which is fine. But here's something I've learned through all of this Keller Williams training. When you make your ask very general, like who do you know, your brain doesn't know where to go, what compartment to go to. Have you ever been asked like, well, who do you know? And you're like, I can't think of anybody. because your brain just went blank. Like, who's that person or what? Sometimes what we have to ask them if we want is give them more specifics. Like, do you have any coworkers or family who are looking to buy or sell a house? Because then your brain can go to the compartments of family, compartments of coworkers, or the compartment of friends. But if you just say, who do you know? It's too broad for our brain, for most brains to come up with names. So when we are approaching people, you have to have the right mindset. You have to be willing to be proactive. You have to be willing to break the ice sometimes. You have to be friendly. You can't be grumpy. We can, but I don't know if you're going to connect very well if you're grumpy. You have to be curious. Are you curious about people? Do you want to know more about them? Because that is probably one of the best ways to connect with people, is if you're curious to get to know other people. Be ready to give positive feedback. Say something nice. Say something positive to them. Make them feel good. You make people feel good, and your level of connection increases right there. Be confident in your pace and your posture. You know, and you're not going to feel confident in some ways. I know Olgie kind of said this on Tuesday. Well, I don't feel like I know what I'm doing. It was either Olgie or Jocelyn. I don't know what I'm doing yet. How can I feel confident? Well, there is a little bit of fake it till you make it in this. But it is not fake it like don't seek out any knowledge. Don't look to expand your knowledge and skills. It just means you don't feel super confident about it. And I know that many of you are the personality type that you've got to know everything before you go do it. And this business isn't designed that way. So for those of us like myself who like to be prepared and know and all of that, it wasn't comfortable. It's not going to be comfortable because you're going to have to push yourself a little bit more. And be ready to connect. Be open to meeting new people or connecting with people. They do have some scripts here in the coffee shop or what have you. You know, we were talking last night at Wednesday Night Warriors. Missed you guys. Brett shared some really good information last night. Wednesday Night Warriors. I know August is kind of a funny month with people doing, you know, into summer vacations or preparing for school and back to school. So I know attendance in August can be a little spotty, and I get that, but we missed you. Know that Brett will be joining us the first Wednesday of every month at Wednesday Night Warriors to share some great technology nuggets and information and to answer those tech questions. You know, there's nothing worse than getting hung up with your technology and like, I thought I had it, and then getting stopped. So he's going to be with us every month, especially for your dual career agents that cannot come to his trainings during the day. He has Wednesday trainings and Thursday trainings. But here's some good scripts here. Then here on page 34, it says here, approach every call. If you're going to do calling to like the people you know, or you're going to call strangers, but you're going to make sure you do not call someone if you don't know if they're on the do not call list or not. That doesn't mean the people on your phone, because those you've gotten their information somehow, you know them. So I'm talking pure strangers. Do not call someone unless you've been able to verify. And it's very hard to verify if they're on the do not call or not. There's a fine of $11,000 per offense, and it's real. Keller Williams as a company, I think I've shared this, but I can't share it enough, paid out over $40 million to settle lawsuits about agents calling people on the do not call. And then the agents were fined also. So the thing in real estate is you never get in trouble alone. So you think, oh, I can go out and do crazy stuff. It doesn't matter. It's just me. I'm a solo practitioner. Well, because you're under the supervision of a brokerage, the brokerage will get in trouble too. And then the parent
quick
company can get in trouble also. Okay. So on here it says, approach every call as a service call rather than a sales call. I'm going to change that. I want you to cross out service call. I want you to write in care call. Because during the pandemic is when I started listening to James Shaw on Pivot Shift Ahead, which is every weekday morning at 7 a.m. You can get on his Zoom call, or you can watch and listen on the Facebook page, or you can go back and listen to the recording. It's your best way to start your day in real estate. And during the pandemic, I started listening to him probably maybe a week or two after he started. And that was in March of 2020. And we didn't know what to do. We didn't know how it was going to impact our business. We were all like scared. It's like, oh my gosh, we're not going to be able to work with people and help them buy and sell houses. What are we going to do? And so James said, you're just going to make care calls to people and see how they're doing, because it was a very unknown time and was a lot of fear with a lot of people, and rightfully so. It was scary. We didn't know what was going on or what was going to happen. So he said, make care calls, check on people, see how they are. And we'll get into forward right here on this page too. It's about showing interest in other people. And since we're in the relationship business, that only makes sense that our calls with people that we know are people that we've just met. We've got to show some care. We can't just be trying to sell them or get their business without showing any care about them. Then they're going to think you're just hustling me for business. You don't care about me. You just want the business. We've got to show that we care. And that's why I believe it's not a sales call. It's not a service call. It is a care call. And you've heard me probably say here in the beginning, if you just need to call these people and check on them and reconnect with them because you haven't talked to them in a year, 2 years, 5 years, and you're going to feel awkward saying, hey, I'm a real estate agent, need to buy or sell right now. And they're going to think, what the heck? I haven't heard from you in forever. And now you're trying to sell me something, right? Just connect with them. Show you care. They'll be thrilled. Most people are really happy to hear from you. And they're not going to count the days. They're not going to say, it's been 74 months and 5 hours since I've last talked to you. Most likely they've been as busy as you have. And they're just going to be thrilled that you thought of them. How to check numbers on the do not call list. Yeah, the do not call list is a little tricky though, because it's not easy to just use. You've got to be, like, our office is not registered for it. And I think that's how that needs to happen. So just be careful. Unless they've
Question.
changed. Yeah.
Does that include emails?
No, it does not.
I just wanted to make sure for when we get those daily letters, expires, I want to make sure that it's okay to at least send out an email.
Yeah. Email or snail mail or knock on their door.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, that was a great question, Dominic. It just means do not call. Actually, don't be discouraged if it's do not call, because one of my new agents, she was a dual career. She decided she was going to target expired listings, and she didn't like calling. So she mailed to them, and her first 3 listings were expires because she contacted them through the mail, and she did it a little differently than other agents. Most agents are calling if they're hopefully they've checked the do not call list. That's why that daily list you get from my assistant Billy, you know, that list, the for sale by owners and the expired list. That's been culled, that list. They go out and find all the information they can for each of those homeowners. And then they show you with a little red circle with the bar in it, the do not, they show you that you can, who's on the do not call list. They have on the list now, some, I feel like I need to educate you all on that. They're going to have withdrawns. Does anybody know what withdrawn status means? And can you contact a withdrawn listing?
From my understanding is that the agent took the listing down, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they won't be putting it back up soon.
Yeah, what it means is there is still a listing agreement with an agent with that seller on that house. It just means they took it off the market for right now. So we cannot reach out to withdrawn listings. So it used to be in some cities they can. I don't know what the definition of withdrawn is, but I know in some cities that agents can. So I think that's why that company puts them on there now, but we can't. We cannot. That'd be going behind the sign is the phrase. They've got a legal agreement with an agent, and thus you are not to touch those withdrawns. I just want to make sure I touch on that. So ways to be curious. If you want to connect with people, and like I said, it's great to be curious about them. There is the Ford method, F-O-R-D. We love a good acronym in Keller Williams. And what that is F is for family. O is for occupation. R is for recreation. And D is for dreams or dreaming. So let's talk about that. It's about asking about their family. How are the kids? What's going on? What grade are they going to be in? Oh my gosh, I can't believe they're in 5th grade. Your youngest is in 5th grade. Oh my gosh, it seems like yesterday. I remember when he was just a little tiny baby, right? How's your husband doing? How's your mom doing, if you know their mom? How's the family? People like to talk about their family. Occupation, how's your job? They might have changed jobs since the last time you talked. You need to get up to date with what they're doing. And do they work from home? Oh my gosh, do you have a home office? And then they might talk about, oh yeah, I do, but I'm just tucked in this little nook in the house and it's noisy and I don't have enough space. And I wish I had a really dedicated area for an office. Oh my, that to me is some moving conversations. Do you need a different house? We need to go find you a house with an office that would work better for you. Recreation. This is a perfect time to talk about recreation because it's the end of summer. What'd you guys do this summer? Did you get away? Did you get to go anywhere? Or did you do a staycation? And I saw some people on my Facebook on Monday. It's, we're getting right down before school starts. They decided to take their kids to Worlds of Fun on Monday. And they're bragging there were no lines. They got on all the rides they wanted to get on because there weren't big crowds. Perfect. That was the perfect time to go. Made me think, oh yeah, most people are there on the weekends and it's just, awful as far as lines and stuff. Kids think it's great. Parents moan and groan. So it's a perfect time for you to be asking what they do this summer. Dreaming. If you know they've always talked about getting a place at the lake, someday we're going to have a lake house. Someday, even if it's a little cabin, want that. Well, are they still thinking about that? Are they still thinking that someday they want a little acreage? they still thinking that someday that they're going to move closer to their kids and their grandkids? What are they dreaming about? Be curious, because with your curiosity, you're going to learn more about them. If you learn more about them, then you're going to know if they have a housing need. What are some of the things that are signals of a housing need? What different life changes? We've talked about it before, but I don't think we can talk about it enough. What are some of the life changes that could cause a
Going off
housing
to
need?
college.
Oh yeah. Investors. Yeah,
And
oh
we're
yeah.
I'm kind of finding that right now, Kristen, honestly. Like we just had my daughter's senior pictures yesterday and
Oh.
talking about engaging. We put some of the previews up on social media, and I've had more people DM me and interact with me in the last 24 hours, and it's opened up probably 15 to 20 different conversations with people that I haven't talked to in probably 6 to 8 months. And it
Awesome.
it made connections that I hadn't had in a while. So
I love that, because you're going through something that a lot of other people are too. Empty nesters. Okay, so I want to stretch your brain a little bit. If you know they have kids going to college, what if you said, I've got a crazy idea. Have you ever thought of, especially if their kids are going away to college, have you ever thought of buying a rental property where your kid's going to school? And if you find the right rental property, instead of paying dorm or for an apartment, and your kid gets roommates, those roommates, highly likely, those roommates could pay the mortgage payment. And then in the 4 or 5, depending how long it takes the kid to get through school, because it's a little harder these days, you're building equity in a home. Wow. So many people haven't thought about that, and they just spend that money on it's enough to spend on tuition. It's another to spend on the housing. And wouldn't it make sense for some of the people you know who their kids are going to college, that would make a lot more sense than just throwing the money out the window for campus housing or apartments?
that's actually a conversation that I have had with a lot of friends that were in this mom group with, who all their kids are the same age as my daughter. And we're all kind of talking about this, and it's opened a lot of doors for them to look in investment property. And now it's just made that connection of, hey, I can help you with this. I can get you to an agent in that area.
Love it. Love it, Debbie. Thank you for bringing up this topic, because it's a big one. And so think about, Annie, if your own kid is in high school and going into the senior year, then you know other parents that are in the same boat. And on the other side of it is those parents could now be empty nesters. Maybe this is their last one out of the nest. And are they going to ramble around that big home? Or are they thinking about downsizing? Because downsizing doesn't mean you're old. Downsizing means you have too much house, usually. I remember, I've shared this before, but Peter Hyde in our office, when my daughter was a senior, asked me one question, and he said, well, now that your kid's a senior, when she goes to college, you're going to stay in that big house and have all that acreage all by yourself? And I was like, I thought I thought about it, and that I was going to stay here. But that one question for 2 weeks made my head spin. I looked at, how much could I sell my house for? Where would I live? I was on MLS like all day for several days, just thinking, okay, I even went and looked at houses, thinking, well, where would I move? What would I do? Now I got over it, but just one question made my head spin. So it can make your head spin too. And others that you can help one of the things that we should do for people is plant seeds to get them thinking about things. Get them thinking about, you're going to be an empty nester soon. Do you have a plan, or are you staying here? So the forward questions when you're doing your care calls and connecting with people, show that you care about them, that you're interested in them, and the return you will get in the long run with those relationships is worth taking extra time to find out things about them. Some of the times you're going to think, I want to just get my calls done. I just want to do my calls. I want to do my 10 contacts a day. That's what the 5 weeks to success plan is about. It is about making 10 contacts a day, putting those 10 into your database or the additional information you got from them in the database. 10 notes or text messages about, hey, it was great to talk and catch up with you. And then previewing each week no less than 10 houses. That's what the 5 weeks to success, one of the base objectives is that you're making 10 contacts a day. One open house can sometimes get 20 out of the way, right? So just remember that. It's about asking and not telling. Too many times as agents, we think we've got to tell people stuff instead of taking the time to ask them things. Connecting, well, that forward helps you build rapport. Be a giver. One of the things you're going to hear, a phrase in Keller Williams that's really big with us, is come from contribution. Come from contribution. Remember I said, we really don't sell. We're the givers of value. We're the givers of service. And when you come from contribution, then you have a purpose for talking to them. One of the number one things you all are going to say to me is, okay, but what do I talk to them about? Well, first you're going to talk about them, do the forward, go through the family, occupation, recreation, and dreams with them, and then then you can step into real estate. Oh yeah, this one didn't have, the barcode for attendance. Thank you. I can skip up because this is Debbie, hold on. While I'm going through the material, I'll go back to you all didn't yell at me about sharing screen. I wish you had. Here we go. Go ahead and do this, and then I'll take us back to. So when you come from contribution, I can help you get what you want or need. And that is coming and letting them know how you can help them. Don't assume that people know that you're an agent and how you can help them. So many times we have to educate them. And when you come from contribution, it shows that you care. Remember I said caring is one of the best things we can do and show people. And it has on page 33, takers and givers. Takers talk and just talk. Givers listen. It's one of the things, because I felt I had so much information that I needed to share with buyers and sellers in the beginning, I did all the talking. I didn't ask enough questions. I just vomited information on people. I had to learn that I had to slow down and connect with them and ask them questions, because they have to know you care before they will trust you. And so I had to slow down and realize there's other ways I can get the information to them, that I don't have to go over every little thing. I can provide them with emails with the information, or put them on a smart plan that's going to drip information to them. I didn't have to tell them everything or give them a printed buyer's consultation materials that explains some of the things that I just touch on. Takers withhold information. They don't share information like a giver does. So when you're asking questions, the best questions to ask are open-ended questions. Because if you ask a yes or no question, then that's the end of that point or that point of conversation. And you're like, I really wanted you to say more than just no. So I love where Gary Keller says in the materials, I never learned anything when I was talking. He learned when he was listening. And a lot of us are talkers, and we're not as good at listening. And it's a skill that probably all of us could embrace a little bit more. If you give somebody something, they often feel compelled to give you something in return. So when we talk about coming from contribution, that means you need to offer something of value. And you think, well, what's that? Well, a lot of what we offer is information about the market, information about houses, information about services to make their house better or repair their house or what have you. We are purveyors of information, and that information has value. So when you introduce the topic of real estate, remember to offer something rather than ask for something. Offer something rather than ask for something, and ask open-ended questions. Since I'm not there in person, we're not going to do the exercise. And let me go back to the materials here. Did everybody get all checked in with the scan and everything? Let's go back to, okay. We're not going to do the exercise because you need to do it in partners. And I apologize for not being there. I just woke up not feeling so whoopee today. So I didn't want to spread and share anything with anybody. So that is one worth looking at. It is about role playing, and it's about having a conversation and asking questions and practicing that. Practice the forward questions. I think that is a great way. Let's talk
I
about.
have a quick question.
Yes, Olgie.
So, thank you. I was just wondering, so I know you had mentioned earlier, some of us are wired kind of wanting to know everything before we dive in, that sort of thing. And I'm working on not being that way. I'm just innately like that. But
I
I
get
guess
it.
my question to you is, when we are talking to prospects or people, calling them, how do we sell our value if we are newer and they start asking us a lot of, let's say, intricate questions, or what value can you provide for me? How do we not let that scare us off and still show that they should work with us, if that makes sense?
No, it doesn't. 100%. And thank you for being so real with that, because that is an honest concern, not only of you, but a lot of people. They're so worried. Here's what's going to be hard for you to differentiate in the beginning, but I want you to keep this in the back of your mind. It's okay to say, that's a great question. Let me go find out more information. Because what is hard for you to differentiate here in the beginning is what is the information, or where are you struggling because you're new and you don't know, versus it's a question that even an experienced agent might be not know. So you have to give yourself grace here in the beginning, and you have to be okay with saying, I don't know, but I can certainly find out, because you can. You then you go on speed dial to your coach, to other agents, and say, what do you know about this? Or to a lender or a title company, and know that sometimes, especially if it has to do with loans, I felt so much pressure, Olgie, in the beginning that, oh my gosh, I don't know anything. If they ask me anything about loans, mortgages, anything, interest rates, all of that, oh my God, I don't know. I know so little. Oh, this is going to be awful. They're going to ask me these questions. And then I realized well, I'm not the professional in that area. I need to know a little bit, the basics. But it's okay to say, you know, that's a great question for the lender. If it has to do, say, there's a title issues that they don't know, maybe you're going to help a family sell their mom's home who's deceased and not sure how the title looks and everything. Say, you know what? That's going to be a great question for the title company. They're the experts in this area. So you have to give yourself grace that you do not have to be an expert in everything, and that there are going to be situations that come up that even I wouldn't know an automatic answer to. And it's okay to say, you know, good question. I'll find out.
Thanks so much. One other little quick tidbit, I was just gonna ask, so also if in the regard of not knowing maybe certain things and saying, I'll ask about that, if someone asks you, like, why should I hire you as opposed to a seasoned agent, sort of kind of more of that perspective, is that where you would just recommend selling that we will work hard, that we, you know, I don't know. I guess that was more so my concern too.
Yeah, that's a valid one also. One, that's why we did the exercise last week on your unique value proposition. You, Olgie, bring strengths to the table, and you need to discern what it is that experience is working with you. So that you're going to work hard, you know, whatever that is. We went and talked about that last week, about your unique value proposition. If you have not written yours out, I want you to go back to that material in the lesson under building validity and positioning, and do that, because you've got to know what experience you are going to provide a client. And then here's the other thing. Here are the people who are going to know you're new, the people in your phone. It's hard to fib to them or pretend you're not new, right? Do what Leah Huntley did with her very first listing. She got it from an open house lead, and he asked how long she'd been doing it, and she confessed, I'm new. And I have a team surrounding me because I'm new. I have coaches, I have a contract coach. Then she brought that client in. I thought this was brilliant, and introduced him to the coaches. And when he saw that she was surrounded by professionals, he hired her over an experienced agent. Because a lot of it, here's what you also have to remember, Olgie, a lot of it is that connection. Some people are going to feel so comfortable around you that if they know you're new, but you've got this team of professionals with you, they'll be fine, because the personality of the other agent is not a match for them. They wouldn't be comfortable working with them. A lot of this is so much on personal connections. And I'm not fibbing to you when I say I was only asked twice when I was brand new. My first year, I was only asked twice how long I've been doing this. Because every time I did something, I tried to look as professional as possible in my materials, in my presentation, knowing my scripts. The other thing that will give you confidence is knowing scripts for buyers and sellers, or conversation points. If you go to the coaching website, our coaching program has a website. Do you all know that? It's coachingkc.com. coachee.com, full of resources. And it has a tab up at the top with scripts. It is from Keller Williams University. You can also find the scripts in Connect on command. It's got a zillion scripts, and learning the scripts will keep you from sounding new. That's the value of scripts. They will keep you from sounding new. And if you don't want to sound new, then learn the scripts. If you want to sound new and him and haw because you're like, because those The beauty, Olgie, in this, and this is for all of you, the beauty is you learn the main questions or objections that buyers have and sellers have. They all have about the same. So it's not, it's going to be the same things they're asking over and over, just different clients. So you learn those basic objections and questions that they have, you're golden. You'll be able to, now some scenarios may be a little different, but you'll have the toolkit so that you can walk the walk, talk the talk, and you will not sound new. But you've got to spend the time learning the scripts, whether that sounds fun or not. I would highly recommend that you guys do it together. Just read the scripts back and forth to each other until you start to internalize them. Some of you say, oh, Kristen, I love what you just said, or that was so good. I had to learn scripts. I didn't sound like this in the beginning at all. At all. I'd be like, and I'm pretty good at winging it, but I got smacked down by trying to wing it. And I learned that I didn't like that feeling of coming out of a listing appointment and them asking questions that I had no idea how to answer, when they're the most typical questions a seller's going to ask, and I didn't prepare myself. So shame on me, because I thought I was too good for scripts. And now I love them because it gives me the confidence in what I'm saying, and it prepares me. So since you're a preparer, Olgie, and for any of you, whether you're a preparer or not personality, you need to learn the scripts. And most of you will avoid them. And that's to your detriment. Then you're going to sound and look new. And professionals have scripts.
Thanks so much.
All of our experienced agents have those. So you're going to, on the asking, thank you for that, because that, what you just shared, Olgie, is what's in the heads of many new agents. You're not alone. So you were asking for others. Asking is a numbers game. You've got to be asking enough people whether they have a need for you. So when I think about this and coming from contribution, I think my job is to talk with you, to connect with you, and to see if you have a need and if I can help you with that need. Be it a plumber or painter, if you tell me you're never moving, I can still help you. Because I know you have other people in your world also that may be having a housing need, buying and selling or investing in real estate, even if you're never moving, but I can still bring value to you. I'm not going to just use you. I'm going to actually offer value. Anytime you have any of those issues with your home, come to me and I'll give you reliable contractors or vendors. So that's so important. And you've got to keep asking the questions and keep, that's why social media is so valuable. You guys can see if people have housing needs. Somebody just got engaged. Do you know anybody who just got engaged, or their kid just got engaged, or their grandkid just got engaged? Well, that could be a housing need right there. So you got to come from contribution and come from curiosity. There are different scripts on here how to ask. I love this when it says, especially if you have a buyer lead and you want to see if you can schedule to show them a house. Then I'm always like, at an open house, you're going to come across some people. It's going to be a little bit different conversation because of what the changes are, but it is still basically the same thing. We're just going to add a little additional verbiage to our conversations. But it is about, you know, if you are super prepared at an open house, that means you know everything for sale around that open house. And either you've previewed those houses or you have extensively looked at them online, so that if someone comes into your open house and said, no, this isn't the type of kitchen I want a kitchen island. And I want it to I want to be able to see my family in the family room while I'm cooking. And if you'd done enough research, then you'd know if there was a house nearby that fits that. And you'd say, I know a kitchen that sounds like what you're looking for. I would love to be able to show it to you Would you have time after this open house, say at 5 o'clock? Or could we schedule something tomorrow, say at 2 p.m. tomorrow? So you're proactively trying to take them forward with you. But if you don't know what's for sale around you, I don't know how in your open house preparation, how much you do the research on all the homes for sale in the area. And you need to know less expensive homes. You need to know more expensive homes, because pointer sign and they have no idea about this house. They're just curious. So if you know what is available, then you can hear what they say as you ask questions. What'd you like about this house? What are you looking for in a home? And you get a couple of things, then you'll know you maybe have a house you can show them. But you've got to have that. See, that says to them, the value is you know something they don't. You know something they don't. And that gets them hungry to, oh yeah, you a kitchen like what I just described? Wow, yeah, that's cool. So I love that. Get their contact information. Open houses. So for those of you who have done open houses, tell me about your experience in getting people's contact information. Have you been successful? What do you use? Share.
I talked to Matt and I was asking him because I feel like he's been pretty successful as a newer agent. And he mentioned that he just has a notebook that he writes down their information and takes notes so that they don't have to do it. And then you can just like ask them if this was the correct information. So you're getting their email correctly.
Wow. That is wonderful. Serenity, one of our agents, his business, 60% of his business came from open houses. And he took all the information and wrote it down. Now, I know for some of you that might not be comfortable. I know that Jana last night at Wednesday Night Warriors shared that she uses a QR code and that she is really successful in getting people's information with a QR code, because it's kind of a normal thing. Everybody wants to scan a QR code. Who knew that those would come back in fashion? They were kind of dead until COVID, and then we had to use QR codes, and now they're everywhere. My husband said, it's not going to be a thing, those QR codes. Well, they are. I keep reminding, oh, here's one of those things. You said we're not going to be a thing. And she's had the thing she likes about it is then she doesn't have to worry about if she can read their handwriting, because that was a big struggle for me. When I used my sign-in sheets. And here's how I got around it though. After they would put down their information, then I would say, hey, wait a minute. I just want to make sure your email address is johndoe@gmail.com. Is that correct? I just want to make sure I can read your handwriting. And one of the things Jocelyn asked last night when Jana was sharing that about open houses and using a QR code, Jocelyn said, do they sometimes give you fake? Yeah, they do. Be okay with it. They didn't know how to tell you no. They didn't. And so they give you fake information, hoping they never cross your path again. But getting their contact info. Anybody else have some input on what you've done and how you've done it to get people's contact information? Is anybody offering something that would give them a reason to give you their contact information? Like, would you like a market analysis on your home? Would you like a better idea of maybe how much equity you have in your home? Are you interested on knowing the steps to buying a home? Do you give them anything, a reason? I actually put in other rooms. I'll put sign-up sheets in other rooms because sometimes people will sign up for something if it's out of my view. So I will do If you're interested in buying, selling your home, or if you would like a market analysis of your home to see, how much equity maybe you possibly have. I'm going to do some sign up sheets, maybe in the primary bedroom or someplace else, maybe if it's a finished basement. I'm also going to put something in there. Have you ever thought about getting into real estate? So there's different things you can put around the house that people might. I would even put a QR code. Actually, if I was an active agent right now, I'd probably be using QR codes a lot in conjunction with things that people could fill out or do what Matt Wildey is doing and actually getting their information and writing it down yourself. So you're going to find out what works with you or for you, but you've got to try out the different things. Don't get discouraged if you're just using the sign-in sheets and people aren't signing in. You're not asking the right questions to get them to want to sign in. Now, it is a-okay if you say the seller requires everyone to sign in. It's a safety thing. Think about it. Strangers are in their house. And really, since we don't follow those strangers around a house, we shouldn't. We have to stay by the front door and greet people. We don't know what they're doing in their house. Unfortunately, there have been thefts before. That's why when you have a listing, you tell your sellers, put away, any small electronics, any valuables, jewelry, and what have you. Any drugs, especially pain medications, open houses. In the past, some open houses have been hit by people looking for pain meds to steal those. So you got to be smart about that. Let's talk about the ways to connect. Let's keep going. Three ways to connect. Call, visit, attend, or host events. Call, visit, attend, host events. And call can be text message also. Okay, connect. Are you doing these? Are you not doing these? It's important that you make certain that you're doing these. And here's what the secret is. You've heard me say it before. What are the two things that are the secret to your success in real estate? I've talked about two things that if you do these two things, you will be successful in real estate.
Lead gen and follow up.
Ooh, that's close. But how should you do those, Dominic?
How should you do both or lead gen?
Both of them. And in what manner should you do both of them?
So lead gen is basically just having a conversation. Getting to know people and letting them know what you do or how you can help them.
So do you do that just once or do you do that?
You do it consistently.
Oh,
it's over
bingo.
time.
Consistent and persistent. That's where I was taking you, Dominic. Thank you.
Gotcha.
Consistency is the name of the game in connecting, because if you just connect willy-nilly, I'm going to connect with all these people, and then you don't do any follow-up and you're not consistent in staying in touch with them, then you just have people in your database that have little to no value. The number in your database doesn't mean anything unless you're consistent and persistent in communicating with them. Otherwise, they have no value. They're just a bunch of names that you're hoping will remember you're in real estate. And that's not what we do. We have to be consistent and persistent. Consistent and persistent. And it's probably one of the hardest things for us to do. We think we're going to be consistent, and then stuff gets in the way. You either get too busy, or you get distracted, or something good happens in your life that takes focus away, or something bad happens. Somebody gets sick. You've got to do time and attention with them, all of that. So that's really important. So that consistency and persistence is the magic. And are you bringing on the magic? It's hard, and you've got to be building that. So when we're talking about calling, you got to know who to call and why to call. So, and it doesn't have, I think METS is where you start, unless you don't have a very big database. And I know some of you say that you don't, and that's okay. It's not a limitation in your business. It just means you have a different focus. So you wouldn't focus as much on these people. You're going to focus on strangers. Now there's a term on here that you're probably seeing and you're like, I don't know what that is. IVR inquiries. Okay, so back in the day, we used to have a system. It was instant voice recognition. So it's where, like on a listing, there'd be a phone number. It would say the phone number for more information, call this number. And our IVR systems were systems where you as an agent would record a message about your listing. And when someone called into that number, their number would be captured so that you could follow up and call them. So you would get, I would get a notification. Somebody just called on my listing, and then I would call them back and say, hey, I saw that you called on my listing, 123 Main Street. I just wanted to see if you want any additional information, or are you ready to go see that house? And most of them wanted to know the price. And then when I told, you have to be careful that when somebody calls you inquiring about one of your listings and all they want is the price, you've got to learn a way to keep them on the phone. What was it about that house that caught your attention? Oh my gosh, this house has gotten a lot of, interest in it. We've had a lot of traffic. We still don't have an offer, and it's gorgeous inside. So you want, and if they say, oh no, that's out of my price range. Well, what price range are you looking in? You don't want to just give them the information and then they go away. But most people are not calling on listings anymore. And they're going on they use search apps. They go online, or they might text you or what have you. So that doesn't happen as much. So the ways to connect and calling, and you've got to know, well, why am I calling? I know I'm going to call, knowing what to say. So I kind of like if you're talking to past clients, then you're just keeping up the relationship and seeing what's new. And when you do that, then you're going to know if there's a housing need, something's coming up. But you have to be regular and persistent and consistent in talking with them so that you know those things. A lot of agents called expireds and FSBOs. Now, there's different strategies on expireds and FSBOs, and we'll get into that when we get to the section about that. But I've got some different ideas that are a little bit not the norm that I think work really well that we'll be sharing. Referrals. Have you told everybody you know that lives outside of Kansas City that you can help them find an agent? Because if you haven't, you are missing out on some of the easiest money you can make in this business. It is not unusual for a new agent to get their first commission check to be a referral commission check. So someone like Debbie, she already spoke to it, that some of these conversations are coming up, and she's telling the people that she knows, because she's from military and they've moved around a lot, that she can help them find an agent no matter where they live. You've got to educate people that you can help them find an agent no matter where they live. Sounds crazy, right? It's crazy good for you. And it's also you helping them find an agent that'll take good care of them, not just any old agent. And isn't that what we want for the people we know and care about? Is we want them in good hands. So that's what you need to educate them on. And there are many agents, and we have a section in here about agent to agent referrals, and then we'll talk about out of town referrals. But you start building relationships with other agents in different states and different cities, and you refer back and forth to each other. There are agents that concentrate on that form of lead generation, and they make really good money doing that. It's amazing. Like being part of the Pivot Shift Ahead group has enriched many agents across the United States because of the relationships they've built inside of that community, that they're like, oh yeah, I know I can, if it's Chicago, Dean can take care of him. Uncle Dean, they call him on Pivot Shift Ahead. He'd take good care of him. If it's Tulsa, then I know I'm probably definitely going to be recommending Jenny Wallach. So within that community, I've learned and met so many people that you would know, and then you become their go-to if they've got somebody coming to Kansas City. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. Website inquiries, we don't get that much. Actually, it's more likely on an app. And remember, every time you share your app, which I think is of more value than a business card, every time you share your app, you want them to register on your app. So you need to tell people, for you to get all the functionality of my app, to be able to save listings and that type of thing, then you're going to need to register. When they register on your app, did you know that all that information automatically goes into your command? What? Beautiful. And you can see on their contact, when they save a property, you're going to be able to see what they're doing on the app. So all day long, I want them to have my app, because that is so powerful. And that's going to be, if there's a button on there that if they want to go see the property, if they have questions of the property, comes right back to you, and you can see all of that on your agent app. So you've got to be very curious about the apps and learn how they work. So don't just share the consumer app and not know what it does and how it does it. You need to know the functionality of it. And then the agent app, remember, the consumer app is the KW app with the white background, red letters. And then the agent app is the red background with white letters. I know that we're wrapping up for red class, and David's going to be leading that and talking about some of the changes. So I want you all in this session, as you can see, we didn't get to everything, and that's why it's so important. But one of the ways to connect that they talked about at a high level in here was about hosting events, seminars, or client events. Why do you think I host those seminars? Because that is one of the easiest ways to reach out and show value to others, that you're offering something that other agents don't. Other agents don't do informational seminars, hardly ever. They might do one in their career and they think that's too much work. That's why I do all the legwork and put it all together for you. So all you have to do is invite and then help the night of. That's it. It's a great way, especially if you're like, I don't know what to talk to people about. If you did my 4 seminars every year, you get to talk to them and connect with them for 4 to 5 weeks before the event. Then you can follow up after the event. Oh, sorry you missed it. There's some great stuff that they shared. I'd love to share it with you. Or, hey, what'd you think? And what points did you get? So this is where prospecting is so important. And oh boy, there's so much meat here, and all of the ways of connecting. So finish up, think about what different organizations I want to join. Only join them if you're interested. If you're not, don't do it. So it's 11. I got to get off because it's time for red class. Thanks you guys for joining me on Zoom. Sorry I couldn't be with you. I'm going to take it easy for the rest of the day, but I really appreciate you joining and participating today for Lead Gen 3612-3. See you later.
Thanks so much, Kristen.
Bye-bye.
Get to feeling better.
Thanks, I will.
I know.